Well, Jonathan Bean is an organiser with Fuel Poverty Action. Jonathan, before we get into the nitty-gritty of this, maybe you could tell me about your Uncle Nigel and why you got involved with the organisation Fuel Poverty Action.
Yeah, well, when energy prices went up initially, he basically responded by just turning his heating off. He lives some distance away from me, so I wasn't able to see that. But the next thing I hear is he's in hospital. He was collected by an ambulance, and he actually spent a whole month in hospital and then 2 months in respite care. So, you know, I didn't realise how dangerous hypothermia was.
So he had hypothermia because a direct result of your Uncle Nigel switching off his heat because it was costing so much.
Exactly, yeah. So when prices went up initially a couple of years ago, so his response was just to turn off the heating. So, you know, what I realised is that a lot of old people are really vulnerable to this. They generally don't want to go into debt. So when something happens like prices go up or support gets cut, they just respond by turning off their heating and hoping they'll survive. But it's incredibly dangerous when you're old to have low temperatures in your home. So that's why he got so ill. He didn't die, but obviously many do die. And then others like him spend a lot of time in hospital, which obviously overloads our NHS as well and our care system.
And presumably, and I've great sympathy with your Uncle Nigel. Is he okay now?
Yeah, but he's a lot more frail. I mean, he used to be a very active person that walked around a lot, and I think he felt he could probably survive. You know, there's a feeling amongst that generation that, you know, will survive, but clearly his life was in real danger.
And ironically, given the amount of money that it costs to put him in NHS care for a month and respite care, I mean, had even a small amount of that money been given to him, or some sort of subsidy for his, or a bit more winter fuel allowance or something like that, the state, if you think about the taxpayer, not that that's particularly relevant in this, but just to go down that avenue for a second, actually keeping people healthy, keeping people alive, and not making sure that they have to make these kind of decisions which can lead to things like hypothermia, well, that would have been a very efficient use of taxpayers' money to give him perhaps a bit more cash to deal with his heating bills.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's obviously completely inhumane, but it's also bad economics to take away, you know, fuel support for a group of people.
Yeah, it's both those things. Definitely, Jonathan.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so that's why I got really interested in Fuel Poverty Action, because Fuel Poverty Action has a policy called Energy for All, which essentially would provide essential energy for everyone in the country. So to make sure you don't have any pensioners or anyone sitting in a cold, damp home getting sick and ending up in hospital or ending up sick. And we can actually afford to do this because the energy industry makes a huge amount of profit. And actually, essential energy, you know, small amounts of essential energy to keep houses safe is not a huge amount. And we could actually cover this from the profits that energy firms are making, because the market.
The big question I have here, Jonathan, is Ofgem actually doing its job here?
No. In simple terms, I mean, you know, the Labour Party is saying they're going to sort out Ofgem and make it fit for purpose. We'll see what actually happens. But, you know, Ofgem has enabled energy firms to make huge profits. In fact, last year, Ofgem handed British Gas, for example, an extra 500 million in profits, which obviously triggered a huge bonus for its CEO, Chris O'Shea. You know, these energy firms are making huge amounts, and it's obviously not just the energy retailers, it's right through the whole energy system. Yeah. I mean, 427 billion was made since 2020. So these are just, you know, eye-watering sums, and the amounts, you know, needed just to support people and make sure that they don't, you know, suffer in cold, damp homes and end up in hospital, compared to that is a relatively small amount.
Thank you for your contribution there. That's Jonathan Bean there, who's an organiser with Fuel Poverty Action.